What is going on, everybody? Welcome to a new video on the Goldie Goes Gaming channel. My name is Goldie, and in this video we're going to be talking about the San Francisco 49ers. And this is going to be a little mini series I want to do on the channel. Just going to be posting this every day this week about teams that you might want to consider bringing into a franchise mode that you can compete right away with and that you can rebuild with if you choose that path. Obviously, you can go into any dynasty mode or any franchise mode and make videos about how you're going to rebuild the Giants or the Jets or the Raiders. You can do all that. It's been well documented. It's been overdone. But other teams like the 49ers and the other teams I'm going to talk to you guys about, they're not getting a lot of love, and you could easily go into a franchise and make this enjoyable, even off camera, if you choose to do some of the teams I'm going to mention. So we're going to talk about the roster, we're going to look at the overall rankings, we're going to look at age, we're going to talk about kind of the prognosis and the diagnosis of how the team is going to play together, what the strategies might be that you want to implement in order to have success with the current roster at hand, and what might be some strategies you want to use going forward into the future seasons of this franchise. So you guys can notice that Richard Sherman's the 93 overall player. He's the best player on the team, but all eyes are on Jimmy G to start the 2019 regular season. Obviously a 5-year pro, he had been held back a little bit at New England, hiding behind the GOAT, Tom Brady. 89 short accuracy, 83 medium, 82 deep accuracy, but throw power's a 90. He's a decent quarterback, currently ranked number 21 in the league, according to Madden quarterbacks, putting him in the top 15%. So he's a decent quarterback. You could do a lot worse than Jimmy Garoppolo. So we're going to look at his contract status in just a little bit, but we're going to look at his statistics in his career thus far. And obviously, like I said, being behind Tom Brady all those years and getting limited opportunities, 7 touchdowns, 5 picks being the most opportunities that he had becoming a starting quarterback. And then 2018 with the 49ers, injury shortened season for the Niners, played pretty well. Yards per attempt over 8. That's actually in the elite category. I did take a look at Tom Brady's average yards per pass, Phillip Rivers' yards per passing attempt, and they're in the high 7s and low 8s, and that's really where Jimmy G's at. He could be primed for a breakout season. We'll just have to see how that goes. But he's your quarterback, and he's your quarterback for a while. He's going to be easy to build around, though, because if you can dink and dunk and you can do the short passing game, it's going to make a lot of sense for you guys to have success with Jimmy Garoppolo, especially if you want to take him into Madden Ultimate Team. Garoppolo might be your guy if you don't like to throw the ball deep and challenge a lot of that user safety and user linebackers, user corners, user DBs in general. Those guys are good. They pick off a lot of passes. So Jimmy G might be your guy if you want to go that route. He's very good in the short accuracy. Running back situation, Tevin Coleman, Jerick McKinnon, and Matt Breida. Breida stepped in as the primary back for Jerick McKinnon once he went down. Breida is more of a true type of running back. He's got the 81 break tackle, stiff arm is 67, trucking is 74, carrying is a 90, vision is an 86. McKinnon, more of that pass catching back who was injured last year. Tevin Coleman can kind of do it all, though. He's kind of like the hybrid of McKinnon and Breida. So the thing is with Breida is he's got a 1-year contract, so you might be able to move on from him if you don't like the 3-back set being 80 overalls. Obviously, I kind of like this setup with the 49ers because it kind of gives them a gimmicky type of running back situation, and you can kind of limit the tread on those tires, so to speak, and kind of just interchange them every once in a while so that you're not wearing and tearing on all your running backs, which makes a lot of sense, especially when you're wide receivers, and we'll get to the receivers in just a moment. But I kind of like this idea with the running backs that Kyle Shanahan has implemented, but we'll just see how that goes in real life. Expect big things for McKinnon and Coleman. I'm not so sure about Breida. Maybe he's a goal line type of back. We'll just have to see. Kyle Juszczyk, fullback, 85 overall. Definitely a receiving type of fullback. He's very athletic for a fullback. Maybe use him in some goal line situations as well. Maybe some tosses, maybe some little flares out to the right, maybe some screens. Look at wide receivers. Marquise Goodwin, an 84, and the fastest man on the team is a 98 speed, 97 acceleration. He's the guy you want to build around. And the other wide receivers, I guess you could technically try to build around them. Dante Pettis, Deebo Samuel was one of their draft picks last season. That's not even his face. Like, what's up with that? Come on, Madden. Don't be lazy. But Marquise Goodwin's never been over 1,000 yards receiving. He was hurt last season in 2018 and 2017. He got real close, only 2 touchdowns. I would expect him to have a big season. I think that maybe, just maybe, Jimmy G started working on his deep passing game. There's been a lot of talk about him not being able to set his feet correctly and really getting everything behind it. You look it up, it's out there. Jimmy G, not the deep thrower that, Marquise Goodwin would be more effective if he were. Expect Marquise Goodwin to be used a lot on drags, a lot on slants this season. He's obviously a very good wide receiver, but he's more so a number 2 wide receiver with Jimmy G at quarterback. Whether you decide to move on from Goodwin, use him as trading bait, whether you try to use drags with him or slants, that's up to you, but that's how I would utilize Goodwin. You're not going to hit a lot of deep balls with Goodwin and Garoppolo. You can build around these guys, but you're going to need to address wide receiver elsewhere. I think you're going to have to try to get a wide receiver in the draft, maybe trade for one, even sign somebody in the free agents eventually, but it's definitely a position that we're going to have to focus on if you want to have success. Jorge Kittel, one of the best tight ends in the game. He had a breakout season last year. RAC, receivers fight for every possible yard after making a catch. When they enter the zone, this ability increases their success rate on rack catches, and that's the Rack 'em Up Superstar X Factor ability. Grab and go. After securing a catch, ball carriers with this ability can quickly shift momentum, change direction, and turn the corner without losing speed. That's huge, especially at the tight end position. It's basically he's acting like a wide receiver. It's crazy, right? Jorge Kittle, very athletic out of Iowa, hoping as a Lions fan that TJ Hawkinson can kind of emulate what Jorge Kittle was able to do in 2018. Obviously 2017 was kind of a learning curve for him, but he had a great season. Joe Staley, left tackle, 35 years old. It's a position that you guys are going to have to figure out at some point, but as a 90 overall, you kind of want to keep him, especially if you're thinking about trying to compete this season. But going forward, Joe Staley is only going to regress. It's got to be a position that you want to focus on in the draft. Laken Tomlinson, a left guard, former Detroit Lion, first-round pick. As a 75, you could do worse at left guard, but you could do better. Weston Richburg, a 70, 5-year experience, probably not going to be gaining any overall points or the overall isn't really going up exponentially is what I'm trying to say. Mike Person at a 75, he's 31 years old, so he's getting a little up there in age. Again, could do worse, but could do better. Mike Mcglinchey, I'm glad the 49ers addressed this on the right tackle spot to get Mike Mcglinchey. Quentin Nelson, obviously out of Notre Dame, both guys, 2 really good offensive linemen. Mike Mcglinchey is probably the future. I don't know if there's talk about him moving to left tackle once Staley retires, but that could be an option as well if you want to go out and you see a right tackle that you want to go get. D Ford, an 84 overall player. He's a good one. You want to hold on to D Ford if you can. Nick Bosa, a 78, first-round draft pick of this season. Solomon Thomas backing him up with Blair. This is probably one of the strengths for this 49ers defense is on the defensive line, because when we look at the defensive tackles, we can see that DeForest Buckner is an 87, Eric Armstead's a 78, and Day is a 70. So that's definitely one of the best spots of this 49ers football team is the D-line. So if you're looking at a position of strength, it's definitely D-line. You could build on that. But let's go ahead and look at the linebackers. Malcolm Smith, a 73 at 30 years old, could definitely do better than Malcolm Smith. Middle linebacker here. Then you got Quan Alexander, middle linebacker, 78 overall, 25 years old. He's obviously a really good player. Had some big-time games for the Buccaneers while he was out there. And then we got right outside linebacker Fred Warner at 22 years old at 74. So I would anticipate Fred Warner actually having really good seasons for you guys in your franchise mode. The tackling machine at 79 right there. So that's only going to go up. Cornerback, this is a position I think needs to be fixed up because you've got Richard Sherman is 31. He's getting older. He's got 99 awareness, but 88 speed. He's not going to be able to catch a lot of the faster receivers, especially when he's going up against the number 1 guy. So he's got to be used in more zone coverage at a 97 than he does with man coverage at 89. You're going to need a good safety behind these cornerbacks, maybe 2 good safeties behind these cornerbacks in order to help them if they do get beat. Jason Verrett, 82 overall. This is more of a player that you kind of want to focus in on at 28. Maybe get a guy that's going to be young. Maybe draft a cornerback, sign a player that's young. You want to focus on cornerback moving forward. Jimmy Ward as well can kind of play safety and corner, kind of that versatile player. So then when we look at the strong safety and the free safety spots, we got Adrian Colbert, who was pretty darn good for the 49ers last season. He's 25, he's young, 73. So the question is for you guys, do you sign another free safety and bring in somebody else, or focus on Colbert being your guy and just grow with him? It's up to you guys. Jaquiski Tart, star potential, star rating, an 80 overall right now at 4 years of experience, 27. He's still got room to grow. I like Tart. You want to focus in on him. You want to build around him as well. He's one of those good safeties you want to keep because your corners are not so great at man coverage. And then we got Marcel Harris backing him up. Robbie Gould, nothing to say much about Robbie Gould. He's just Gould. Mitch Wishnowsky, 67 overall punter. Probably need to get a better punter. Just saying. Looking at the draft picks that are available for the 49ers, they do not have a second round pick, so that's something to consider when you're trying to make moves and acquire picks, or if you're trying to get rid of picks. Just remember, you don't have a second round draft pick. All right, it's time to look at the team salaries list here and take a look at one thing here, the cap space. $12.7 million in cap space for the 49ers. And honestly, that is not a lot of wiggle room when you're trying to consider signing free agents. These are things that you want to know as you head into franchise with the 49ers, right? Or the team in general, with whoever you're picking. And just for frame of reference, just take a look at all these other teams' cap space that you're going to see up on the board here. Redskins, 18.6. We have less money to spend than the Redskins do at 18.6. And we know how Dan Snyder, the GM over there, loves to spend his money. The Saints, 31.8, and they've put together a Super Bowl roster. $53 million for the Seahawks, $22 million for the Steelers. That just gives you guys kind of an idea of where the 49ers stand with money to spend. And you guys will be able to look here at why that is the case. It's because we have a lot of players locked up for long term. Look at D Ford, 5 years remaining on this contract. It's going to go up from 2019 to 2022 and to 2023 by $4 million. And it happens everywhere. Every contract is going to go up and go upward. So the bad thing about the 49ers right now, and a challenge that you want to consider when you're going into franchise with the 49ers, is the contract situation. That's why it's going to be challenging for you guys to take the 49ers into a franchise mode. It's going to be all about who you decide to let go, who you decide to keep, and how do you manage the contract situation the further along you go. Jimmy Garoppolo goes up by $8 million from 2019 to 2022. And then even guys like Rich Berg, the center at 70 overall, goes up by $3 million. So obviously those are things to consider. And when we look at the overall rankings only, just keep it with me here. As we go down the years remaining, everybody seems to be locked up for long term, which is good to develop a core. The only problem is that you can't really add players because your cap space is going to just decrease the more that the years go on. So maybe a potential trade, you're going to have to figure out if you have to trade a player away. You're going to have to figure out maybe you have to hit on your draft picks. Obviously, when you have younger guys that are producing at pro level, immediate impact type of players, you're saving money in that regard too. So ultimately, like we just talked about, the 49ers contract situation is really an issue. It's an issue for them, and it's all depending on what you do with them and how you're going to manage it in order to have success? Do you believe in the product? Do you believe on the players on the field currently? Do you believe in this roster? Or are you going to try to win with it year number 1 and year number 2? And then you're going to try to have to make decisions on who you're going to move on from when those contracts start getting inflated and bigger as the years go on. So guys, that's it for this episode. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the next team. I have, again, a top 5 list of teams that will be interesting and fun and challenging for you guys, for franchise enthusiasts. I'll see you guys in the next one. Leave a like if you like this thing. As always, peace.